with young Scott Sharp and the veteran, Paul Gentilozzi. The no-holds-barred fight continues at Road America. ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Road America, the longest road course in the country, is the setting for the SCCA Trans Am Banquet Cup. Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Hammonds, and welcome to a very blustery Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Even though the championship has been decided, Tommy Kendall did the honors a week ago at Mid-Ohio, there's still plenty of racing remaining. The Manufacturers Championship still hangs in the balance. Chevrolet currently has a 10-point lead over Oldsmobile. And today, if Chevy can finish ahead of Olds, they will wrap up that all-important championship. Joining me on today's broadcast is Scott Pruitt, the track record holder here at Elkhart Lake. And Scott, fall has definitely fallen in Wisconsin. How will the cold weather affect things?
Thanks, Brian. Well, it's going to be a big question mark. Right now, there's a little bit of rain coming down, added with a little bit of snow. This morning when they went on the track, it was nice and sunny, so the car setup's going to change a little bit. But as far as the drivers are concerned, it's going to be cool conditions, actually help them out. They didn't get as hot in the car, their endurance is tougher, they can last longer, and the cars work better on the engines, better on the tires, especially on this 4-mile course. There's a lot of area where they can make up time, a lot of heavy braking areas, so all in all, the temperature right now is going to be just about perfect for racing.
The third member of our broadcast crew is down on the grid. Here's Gary Gerald.
Well, 5 times this year, the newly crowned Trans Am champion for 1990, Tommy Kendall, has been in victory lane. 5 times he's been in the pole. He thought for a fleeting moment that he was going to start from the pole here at Elkhart Lake today, but that turns out not to be the case. He had a problem when he made his fast run, broke the track record by nearly 3/4 of a second, but the officials didn't like the way that he finished up the lap. They called it shortcutting the course, when in fact he did go off course and completed the lap. They threw that time out. And so Tommy finds himself starting now outside row 3 in the 6th position. How important is this starting position as opposed to starting from the pole?
Well, I don't think it's a big difference. It's a real long race, and the ICI Olivetti Beretta has, really been strong all weekend. I told them that it was completely by accident that I went off course. We actually took the long way around the corner, but the rule of the week pretty much caught us out. So, everyone here knows we're the quickest qualifier. It's just that we're not starting on the pole where we should be.
Now, quick note here. You are not driving the car in which you've been driving all season to win the championship. You've gone to last year's version. It's carbureted, not fuel injected. Why have you elected to do so here?
Well, because of our success earlier in the year, they just kept piling weight on so that the V6 weighed as much as the V8 car. So we elected to go back to last year's cylinder head and a carbureted, basically the bare bones version of the Beretta, and we got to take 170 pounds off. So it's like kicking your passenger out.
All right, Tommy Kendall starts outside row number 3. He's ready to go. Everybody about ready to get it underway as we go back to Brian Hammonds.
All right, thank you very much, Gary Gerald. And now, here are the most famous words in motorsports.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
The engines are fired, the field now rolls away, and what lies ahead is 25 laps, 100 miles around this 4-mile, 14-turn road course. We'll come back with the green flag after this. The SCCA Trans Am Banquet Cup is being brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil. By Goodyear Eagle Radials, the best-selling performance radials in the world. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. The field is rolling, and here is how they will start. Today's SCCA Trans Am Banquet Cup. In the first row, Scott Sharp on the pole, Hoerr on the outside. Row number 2, Chris Kneifel and Jack Baldwin. The third row, Scott Lagacy and Tommy Kendall, the fastest qualifier. Row 4, Darin Brassfield and R.K. Smith. The fifth row, Paul Gentilozzi and Jim Derhaag. Row 6 looks like this, Les Lindley and Max Jones. The seventh row, Lappalainen and Fellows. Row 8, Dick Danielson and Bob Patch. The ninth row, Bob Sobey and Lynn St. James. Row 10, Paul Newman and George Robinson. So we're just about ready to get things underway as we look at the remainder of the field. 41 cars will take the green flag here at Road America on a blustery day. But there's a lot at stake, isn't there, Scott?
There certainly is. We have to remember that all-important manufacturers championships up for grabs this weekend. Oldsmobile came here strong. They're sitting on the pole. They want to take it away from Chevrolet, at least give them a fight to the end. At the same time, Chevrolet wants to wrap it up and take it home this weekend. So it should be real interesting.
Tommy Kendall cannot come here and relax and enjoy his championship because he is trying to wrap it up for Chevrolet. In fact, that team has added a third car again this week. R.K. Smith is driving the third ICI Olivetti Beretta just for strength in numbers, I believe.
There's a little bit of a question mark. I know that the Gentilozzi's team had a Oldsmobile sitting over there. They're looking for a couple of drivers. I don't know if they, unfortunately, I don't think they got anybody. There was some talk of Wally and as well as Willie driving the car, but as of the start of this race, it's sitting there.
The field comes through the final turn. They're well lined up, looking for the green flag. The front row of Sharp and Hoerr. It is their field now as the field comes through. 41 cars trying to get through this final turn before they take the green flag, working their way up this long front straightaway. All eyes now on the starter. They're perfectly aligned. Will they get the green flag? And the green flag waves. We are racing at Elkhart Lake. Scott Sharp tries to nudge ahead of Hoerr. We have a drag race into turn one. Sharp on the inside, Hoerr on the outside. Who will lead going into the first turn? They're still side by side. Now Scott Sharp takes the lead. Hoerr tucks in behind in second place.
Also, there's Tommy Kendall trying to slip up the inside of Jack Baldwin there. There's a little bit of, maybe a little bit touching, but it looks like Tommy's going to have him here.
In third place is Chris Kneifel. Scott Lagasse is in fourth. Darin Brassfield is fifth. And Tommy Kendall hangs on to sixth place, followed by Jack Baldwin and Paul Gentilozzi.
Work their way down the long back straight. We have to remember they get to speeds 170, 175. A lot of drafting going on. That V6 of Hoerr is definitely drafting off Scott Sharp's V8.
Very fast racetrack, 4 miles long. Scott, is this a V8 track or a V6 track?
This is definitely a V8 track. There's so much in the way of long straightaways here. A lot of areas where torque really comes involved. Lets the car just jump off those turns. So Scott Sharp really has set the way this weekend in his V8 car.
So what is torque exactly, Scott?
Torque is the amount of power from a low RPM when you come off the turns. It's very important when you're coming off the turns as well as when you work in traffic. Sometimes you get caught up in traffic. You want to be able to stab the throttle and be able to work up by that guy and have the power to be able to do that. That's more torque than just pure horsepower.
Scott Sharp is your leader. There's the second and third place battle. Hoerr and Chris Kneifel. Remember, Oldsmobile has to finish in front of Chevrolet to continue the Manufacturers Championship battle into the last race at St. Petersburg. If Chevrolet finishes ahead of Oldsmobile, that championship will be clinched. Right now, Oldsmobile is leading. Scott Sharp at the wheel. Scott Sharp has one win under his belt this year. He won on the streets at Detroit. Here's Hoerr chasing him down. Hoerr with 5 career wins in his 5th year in Trans Am. And Chris Kneifel also has a win this year, looking for win number 2, currently in 3rd place. But right now, the V8 of Scott Sharp is out in front.
Doing a good job, too. Even though it's a first lap, you have to remember, since it's such cool conditions, it takes a little bit to get all the tire temps in, to really get them up to working conditions. And right now, it looks like he's actually pulling himself a little bit of a lead.
This being a 4-mile racetrack, it takes some time to get around. We have just completed lap number 1, and Scott Sharp will go in the books as the leader. Hoerr in second, Kneifel in third. Darin Brassfield, who won a week ago in Mid-Ohio, is in 5th place, 4th place that is. And right behind him is Scott Lagasse, who had a great qualifying run, was in the Fast 5 for the first time, the top 5 in qualifying in the Corvette. And here comes Tommy Kendall behind Lagasse. Darin Brassfield has 3 wins this year. Last weekend at Mid-Ohio had to win to keep his championship points, or his championship hopes alive, but he won. But Kendall finished in second to wrap things up. Nevertheless, enjoying a fine season is Darin Brassfield. But right now, Scott Lagasse right on his tail in the Corvette.
You know, we talked a little bit earlier. Darin Brassfield has the V6, Lagasse in the V8. So you can actually see where the V8 comes into play. It's down that long straightaway. He's able to really work his way to catch up.
Scott Lagasse trying to dial in Darin Brassfield. It's a long race ahead of these guys, though. Is it the same on this long track? You still have to conserve the tires and the brakes?
You do. Not as much as on a short track. It's not as tough on race cars. More than anything else, you have to remember, at the end of the straightaways, there's very, very tight turns, so you have to do a lot of heavy braking, and you're thinking that here you are trying to stop this 2,500-pound race car from 175 miles an hour. Jack Baldwin in the pits. It's like he has problems.
Jack Baldwin started this race fourth, had a good qualifying effort, but right now is having some problems. The crew going to work on that engine, so Jack Baldwin will fall well behind in this field. You don't want to make a pit stop in Trans Am racing. So it looks like the day might be done for Jack Baldwin. Meanwhile, back to the racing, and Tommy Kendall looks to the inside and moves around Scott Lagacy to pick up 5th place. Directly in front of Kendall now, his old nemesis, Darin Brassfield, who now is running in 4th. So Lagacy falls back to 6th. Tommy Kendall trying to work his way toward the front of the field. Remember, Kendall was the fastest qualifier. As we look at Darin Brassfield right now, 1 position in front of Kendall, who had a good battle last week.
A lot of speculation, you know, Darin in his Neo-Life Oldsmobile and his father in a Neo-Life Oldsmobile. There was a little bit of a controversy at the Mid-Ohio race.
There's the battle for 2nd place. Hoerr, Chris Kneifel looking for the 2nd place. Hoerr in the 15 car, the Oldsmobile, the Chevrolet, has driven the Beretta, driven by Chris Kneifel, right now in 3rd place. Good battle here. Hoerr in his 5th year in Trans Am racing. It's a family affair, this racing team. His father, his mother, his wife, and his daughter are all involved with that team. Right now, Hoerr in 2nd place, trying to hold off Chris Kneifel.
We were talking about those brakes earlier, and what happens is at the end of those long straightaways, you're actually having to take your car from 170 miles an hour clear down to 50 miles an hour, and that's real tough on the brakes.
The leader averaging 105.93 miles per hour. Scott Sharp is out in front here in the Trans Am race at Elkhart Lake. We'll be back. We're back at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Scott Sharp is the leader. He's being followed by Hoerr. Chris Kneifel of the first running Chevrolet is running in 3rd. Darin Brassfield in Oldsmobile is 4th, and Tommy Kendall, the SCCA Trans Am champion, rounds out the top 5. You're on board now with Jim Derhaag running in 13th place. Bob Sobey just in front of him. A battle going on in the middle of the field. Derhaag and Sobey for 13th place. R.K. Smith is 2 places in front. Here comes Derhaag on the inside, but Sobey slams the door. So right now, Jim Derhaag, the General Tire Chevrolet Camaro, hanging on to 13th place and looking to take over 12.
He was taking a little bit of a look there on Sobey. Just didn't have the opportunity.
Where are the good places to pass on this racetrack?
Actually, there's a lot of great places to pass on this track. It's so open, so wide, so fast. Up in, as you get a good look here, up into the carousel, entering, it's a good place to pass. On exit, it's a good place to pass. Under heavy braking area down at the end of what they call Thunder Valley, which is this section through here, very, very fast section in the back part of the course. Down the front straight, heavy braking down in turn 1, or the back straightaway down in turn 5. All those are very, very good areas to pass.
Here's the battle now for 2nd place. Hoerr and Chris Kneifel still going at it for 2nd place. Hoerr in the Oldsmobile. Chris Kneifel right now is the front-running Chevrolet. He is in 3rd place. And again, to reiterate, if Chevrolet finishes ahead of Oldsmobile here this afternoon, they will clinch the Manufacturers' Points Championship. And that's very important for the big boys in Detroit.
Well, that's why the big boys play. They want to win that Manufacturers' Championship. You know, the driver, they want to win the Drivers' Championship, obviously, but that's why the manufacturers are involved. They want to get that all-important Manufacturers' Cup. That's something that they can promote all season long.
Chris Kneifel right now content to hang on to 3rd place. There's the leader, Scott Sharp, followed by Hoerr. Then comes Chris Kneifel. Darin Brassfield running in 4th place. And in 5th place, we have Tommy Kendall, the champion in 1990.
It's like Darin's in an ICI sandwich over there. I think he's going to have his hands full with Tommy here in a minute.
Right now, we're developing a 4-car battle for 2nd place. We have Scott Sharp with about a 3 or 4 car length lead, but then we have a nice battle developing. Here comes Tommy Kendall to the inside, trying to get by Darin Brassfield. Can he do it? He does. Tommy Kendall takes over 4th place, moving Brassfield back 1 position.
That's one of the areas we talked about earlier, down the end of the back straight, heavy braking area. Tommy just able to go a little deeper than Darin. Work his way right on by.
So 2 Chevys on the same team now could be battling here shortly for 3rd place as Tommy Kendall moves around Darin Brassfield and now has his sights set on his teammate Chris Kneifel, who's sitting in 3rd and is right on the bumper of Hoerr. When they get to that situation, I'm sure it's every man for himself.
I think what you're going to see is Chris Kneifel and Tommy actually working together. This is the perfect track where they can use drafting to their advantage to try and work their way by their competitors. At least do that for the first, let's say, 3/4 of the race. After that, then it's every man for himself. Really go out and go for the win.
This track is fast enough where you can actually get a tow and use the draft?
Sure. Real good. We have Chris taking a little bit of a look up the inside of Hoerr. But no, the straightaways are very, very long, very, very fast. You see a lot of drafting going on more between V8s and V6s, and sometimes between V6s and P6s themselves.
All right, here we go. Hoerr hanging on to second place, but here come the Chevrolets. Chris Kneifel in third, Tommy Kendall moving up in fourth place. The margin from first to second is 2.16 seconds, but from second to fourth, it's a lot closer than that. A 3-car battle for second place. The ICI Olivetti team, 2/3 of them anyway, running in third and fourth place, using the draft, trying to work their way around Hoerr and then dial in Scott Sharp, who right now is better than 2 seconds in front of this field. Kneifel, Kendall, the twin towers of Trans Am. Kneifel 6'6", Tommy Kendall at 6'4". In fact, Kendall's height is causing some problems. He would love to drive Indy cars. He got in Eddie Cheever's car in Denver, but once he got in, he couldn't move. So his open wheel career is pretty much in jeopardy. Here he looks to the inside, tries to get by his teammate Chris Kneifel, but can't do it. Kneifel slams the door.
Well, as the Indy cars are getting smaller and smaller, it's tougher for taller guys. In fact, I heard that Tommy may be doing some Grand National or some Winston Cup. That'll leave it right open there. What do you think, Brian?
His name is popping up in all forms of racing. The silly season is in full swing in Trans Am, Indy cars. This is the time of year where rumors run rampant. Right now, Hoerr has his hands full. The Chevrolets are all over it. Chris Kneifel, 1 Watkins Glen. Tommy Kendall right now running in fourth place. 23-year-old Tommy Kendall, the new SCCA Trans Am champion. We asked him how he feels being the champion.
I woke up Sunday morning after a little bit of a celebration, so I didn't wake up too early, and just kind of realized that I'd been thinking about that since the beginning of 1989, and all my energies, just about every day of the past 2 years, has been spent focusing on that goal, and that was just a huge relief. You know, we still have the manufacturer's championship to win for Chevrolet, but the driver's championship is wound up, and that's something that I really want to store away in my back pocket, and that's over and done with. It feels really good.
And while we were listening to Tommy, he just got around his teammate Chris Kneifel for third place. So Tommy Kendall working his way up toward the front. He was the fastest qualifier, but as Gary Gerald explained to us at the top of the show, started the race in 6th place, and now he is on his way toward the front, now in 3rd place. Scott, what's it like? You were a champion in this series. What's it like for Tommy Kendall to come to this race as the champion? You can relax a little bit.
You can relax a lot. Now you can only, you can focus on the win. You're not worried in a situation where you want to just finish the race however he can and conserve those points. He's in a position now where he can go out and charge hard, go for the win, go for those all-important manufacturers titles.
Good battle here developing on the inside. Gentilozzi tries to get by Scott Lagasse, a battle for 6th place. That's Scott Lagasse in the Corvette right in front of Paul Gentilozzi. And look at the hood of his car. Looks like it might be ready to fly off.
It looks that way. There's a lot of air coming up from underneath the front of these cars, especially down this fast straightaway. You get a lot of buffeting going on up there.
V8 against the V6 here. The Corvette in 6th place with the V8. The Oldsmobile, Paul Gentilozzi with a V6. And you can see the V8 pull away on this portion of the racetrack.
Paul's been doing a good job all season long with the Budweiser car. He's been hard charging and hanging in there the whole time.
Paul Gentilozzi trying to dial in. This is the view that he has around this beautiful 4-mile course.
I don't know if a lot of people realize his main deal is running Gentilozzi real estate. So this has started out as just a hobby and occupies a lot of his weekend time, where his real estate business occupies most of his weekly time.
Scott Lagasse right in front of Paul Gentilozzi right now. You can see some moisture maybe falling on the windshield of Paul Gentilozzi. Hoerr has now been passed by Tommy Kendall and Chris Kneifel. So the Chevrolets are running 2nd and 3rd. There is Scott Sharp, your leader. Here comes Tommy Kendall in 2nd place, getting by Bruce Nesbitt, a slower car to put him a lap down. Chris Kneifel, the 3 car, now going by Nesbitt. So Oldsmobile is out in front, but Chevrolet is running 2nd and 3rd. The ICI Olivetti team right now stalking Oldsmobile.
Looks like Darin Brassfield's working his way up to Hoerr also. Becky's right on his tail now.
Hoerr starting to backpedal a little bit. Darin Brassfield trying to work his way around. But Scott Sharp continues to lead. But here comes Chevrolet. Here's the battle now for 4th place. Hoerr in 4th, Brassfield in 5th place, trying to get around going into turn 1. Ducks to the inside, approaching turn 1. Can he make the pass? Can't do it. Hoerr. 2 Oldsmobiles through turn 1. Oldsmobile is out in front, then followed by 2 Chevrolets, then 2 more Oldsmobiles.
I wonder if Hoerr may be having a little bit of problem with his car right now.
Well, we know Jack Baldwin had problems. He's now with Gary Gerald.
Well, as the car goes back behind the wall, and obviously disappointed Jack Baldwin. And Jack, this really hurts a lot in terms of that battle for points 2nd through 6th and your chances to move up from 6th.
A lot, yeah. It's disappointing. Obviously, you know, the Skull Bandit team worked so hard this week, and we were running so well all week and leading up to the race. And I don't know what happened. I accelerated on the green, and it developed a pretty bad miss, and I didn't want to stay out there because I thought it was unsafe. I didn't want to get run over.
We appreciate your time. We're sorry for the tough luck.
Thank you.
As we take a look at the top 10, Scott Sharp continues to lead, followed by Tommy Kendall. We'll be back. We're back at Elkhart Lake. Ron Fellows pulls side by side with Scott Lagasse, now trying to dial in Paul Gentilozzi. And look at Fellows to the inside. He gets Gentilozzi going into the corner. One bonsai move picks up 2 positions for Ron Fellows. He's now in 6th place. You're looking out the back at Scott Lagasse, but what a move by Ron Fellows.
Almost got boxed in there. At the last minute, dove to the inside, made his way by Lagasse as well as Gentilozzi.
You're looking out back at Paul Gentilozzi's car now at the 7th place car of Scott Lagasse. Ron Fellows now in 5th place. So Scott Lagasse, who started this race 5th, is now back in the 7th spot. One of the drivers who started the day up front is now out and with Gary Gerald.
Well, the man who started in the front row finds himself an early casualty. What was the problem?
Well, we don't know. You know, our Oldsmobile was running real good, and our Firestone tires were working real good. We were just kind of biding our time. We had fairly hard tires, waiting for them to heat up so we could go faster. And something about the 3rd lap, I felt that something to start to tighten up. It was either the rear end of the transmission, something in the driveline. It finally went ahead and failed.
Well, this makes it tough in that manufacturer's championship point battle now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. You know, Scott and I were looking good for scoring some points for Oldsmobile today, and I just hope the rest of the Oldsmobiles out there can get the job done. Or I see Rochester Olds, I don't think will be back out there.
Back up front, Scott Sharp and Tommy Kendall continue their battle. Tommy Kendall again in the lighter car, the carbureted version of the Chevrolet Beretta. And the difference in weight, we heard him say it was 170 pounds, seems to be the difference here, Scott.
It's a lot of weight to be hauling around with you. You don't have to worry about the weight just on braking, but you have to remember it's acceleration also. Being able to get off those turns, get the car going.
12 laps down. We are just about halfway through this race. Kendall knows that. He might be conserving a little bit, waiting for the last portion of this race to unfold. V8s are tougher on the tires, aren't they, Scott?
V8s are tougher on the tires, especially on this track. We'll get a good idea here how much better the V8 is down the straight. We'll see him actually pull 2 or 3 lengths out. But it looks like Tommy's car is working a lot better under braking. Scott guarding his line there a little bit. Now letting him go up the inside. It's just a matter of time now.
Tommy Kendall looking to get by Scott Sharp, but Scott Sharp getting that car wider and wider. Here comes Kendall up on the curb on the inside. Now it's a drag race, side by side. Scott Sharp holds him off, but Kendall gets on the curb to try to get by. Now again on the inside. Here comes Tommy Kendall. Can he make the pass this time by? It's a drag race. To the left-hander. Sharp on the inside. Kendall on the outside. What a great battle. Door handle to door handle.
What a great battle here. Down through the carousel side by side.
Tommy Kendall gets by. He makes the pass and puts Chevrolet in the lead. If they stay there, they will wrap up the Manufacturers Championship. What a great move by Tommy Kendall. He started this race in 6th place and is now at the point. Scott Sharp, Oldsmobile's best hope at this point, lies in 2nd place. In 3rd, another Chevrolet, Chris Kneifel. Well, Tommy Kendall trying to carry the colors of Chevrolet to a manufacturer's championship here at Elkhart Lake.
Now that was some great racing. 3 turns side by side.
For more on Scott Sharp's situation, here's Gary Gerald.
Jim Rogers is the man who calls the shots for Scott Sharp. Unfortunately, you've just lost that lead to Kendall. How tough in your mind will it be to get it back?
Scotty's trying to save his tires. We need to have a little bit of car left at the end of the day, so he's going to let Kendall go run.
Unusual conditions, and we've seen a pretty high attrition rate for one of these races early. Why, in your estimation?
The cold weather's pretty hard on engines. If you don't have any oil temperature, it's going to be a problem. But we warmed it up good, so we've got a little tape on the oil cooler. We'll be all right.
We thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Tommy Kendall, with 13 laps down, leads here at Elkhart Lake.
Without question, one of the great innovations of motorsports coverage in recent years has been the ongoing development of onboard cameras. Here on Paul Gentilozzi's car, we have become somewhat accustomed to seeing what the driver sees. And if you look closely, there's a camera mounted right here on the roll cage that gives us his perspective out the front of the car. Now, we've also added for this race, for the very first time, a rearward camera. We've seen views from the back, but we've never seen a camera mounted actually on the deck of the roof. And it shoots back across the rear deck fin, and we watch the traffic working behind Gentilozzi, trying to overtake him on the racetrack. Frequently, we're asked, well, how does all of this onboard camera equipment work? How do we actually get the pictures back? The transmission equipment is located down on the right of the driver, and it's mounted there about 8 to 10 pounds worth. And it sends a signal to an antenna that's mounted here on the dash, which in turn beams the signal up to a helicopter. The signal comes back down to our television compound trucks, and hopefully it then gives you and I and all other race fans a real feel for what it's like to be driving a Trans Am car in traffic at speed here at Elkhart Lake.
Back at Elkhart Lake, Walter Payton is spinning off the course. Walter making his Trans Am debut. Spins before he gets to the Nissan Bridge. Walter had a good run going. He started the day 33rd, was up to 22nd spot. Now he's back on the course and running very slowly. Something is amiss. He pulls off the track and might be done for the afternoon. Well, Walter Payton making his Trans Am debut after winning the GT1 June sprints here on this same track. Obviously has a problem and looks like he could be done for the afternoon. Here's a look at it again. Walter Payton off the course and spinning right in front of the leaders. Tommy Kendall and Scott Sharp go by. Walter with a problem. Future Hall of Famer in the NFL, trying to make his mark now in racing. Not doing a bad job. Meanwhile, back at the front, here's Tommy Kendall, the leader. Walter Payton's teammate Scott Sharp in 2nd place.
Kendall's in a position now where he has the lead, he has the race in hand. He wants to push and stay ahead of Scott, but he doesn't want to push too hard. Again, the SCCA has been penalizing with weight all season long. He doesn't want to be in a position where he gets more weight for the last race in St. Petersburg. So he's just going to hold a little bit of a lead right now. Just kind of hold it there.
15 laps down, 10 laps road course. Tommy Kendall continues the lead, carrying the banner of Chevrolet, trying to get them a manufacturer's championship, which would be their 10th in the 25-year history of Trans Am racing. Scott Sharp is the best hope for Oldsmobile. He currently lies in 2nd place, trying to keep Tommy Kendall in his sights. Right now, it's a 2-car battle for the lead and for the manufacturer's championship. Tommy Kendall driving the carbureted Beretta V6, 170 pounds lighter than the fuel-injected V6. Scott Sharp in the much heavier V8. We look farther back in the field. The battle now for 3rd place.
Darin
Brassfield has gotten by Chris Kneifel. This battle for 3rd and 4th place. Brassfield lies in 3rd, Kneifel in 4th.
They came by here side by side, so Imagine you got him going down into 1 or going down into 3.
And this is important not only for Darin Brassfield, but if something would happen to Tommy Kendall, Oldsmobile then has 2 cars running 2nd and 3rd. There is strength in numbers today.
That's very important for the manufacturers. That's why the Chevrolet team with the ICI Berettas, they have 3 cars here instead of 2. It's exactly what we did when we ran for Lincoln Mercury. The last couple races, we wanted to stack the deck, stack it as much as we could. Instead of running, let's say, 2 cars, we'd run 3 and 4 cars. Just like you said, strength in numbers.
Trying to bring home that all-important Manufacturers Championship, and that's how this series was started, as a Manufacturers Series. This is very important. Win on Sunday, sell on Monday also applies to this series. This is the battle for 3rd place. Darin Brassfield, who has 3 wins under his belt this year. Chris Kneifel ducks to the inside. Chris Kneifel has 2 IndyCar races on this track in 82 and 83. So Chris Kneifel knows his way around this track.
Looks like Darin's actually pulling a little bit of a lead on him. 4 or 5 car lengths there.
Tommy Kendall continues to lead here at Elkhart Lake. We'll be back. We're back at Elkhart Lake. Oldsmobile has retaken the lead. They are still alive, but here comes Tommy Kendall on the inside. He hasn't given up. Look at this battle. Scott Sharp and Tommy Kendall for the lead here at Elkhart Lake.
They've been side by side the last lap. Scott Sharp managed to work his way by. Now they're side by side down the back straight.
V8 against V6. Who's going to win this battle? They're side by side going into the corner. What a race. This for the Manufacturers Points Championship. Scott Sharp stays in front and Oldsmobile stays alive. Tommy Kendall ducks to the inside. Can Kendall get by here? He looks like he does. They touch. Little contact, but Tommy Kendall forges ahead. Can he stay ahead? He does. Tommy Kendall sideways off into the gravel.
Scott Sharp leaning on him pretty good.
Tommy Kendall gets by. Scott Sharp right behind him. This the battle for the Manufacturers Points Championship. 17 laps are down. 25 laps in this race. Right now, Tommy Kendall in the lead in the Chevrolet. Scott Sharp right behind in the Oldsmobile. Those two have had a great battle all afternoon.
See them go back and forth. Real great show they're putting on here.
The V6 out in front, the V8 in 2nd place. Scott Sharp starting to close down again. 7 laps remain in this race. We have rain reported in turn number 5. That might play a factor. Let's go down to the pits for this report from Gary.
Well, as the battle continues, Brian, a word with Dan Binks, who's the crew chief here for Tommy Kendall. Your concerns about the battle with Scott Sharp and the weather change that appears to be on us.
The weather is probably going to be the biggest thing. If the window can stay clean, I think Tommy can beat him. He's driven here in the race or in the rain before here. GTU we won in the rain, so I think we'll be in pretty good shape. It'll be, I don't know, it'll be a show.
Are you nervous?
A little.
Thank you. Brian?
All right, thank you, Gary. You can bet he's nervous. One point to make, however, these cars are not prepared for rain. They all have the slick racing tires on. So if it does get wet, it could get real wild. Scott Sharp again closing down on Tommy Kendall. Could he be conserving, he being Scott Sharp, could he be conserving his tires a little bit, waiting for the final few laps?
Not this far into the race. I think he'll be going for it from here on.
You can see Darin Brassfield, he made up almost 4 seconds in 1 lap to make this a 3-car battle. 7 laps remain. 28 miles to the Manufacturers Championship for one of these guys. Chevrolet currently out in front. Oldsmobile running 2nd and 3rd. Here come the leaders. Lots of elevation change on this racetrack. This is just a beautiful race course.
Beautiful track. Probably one of the most picturesque that we come to. 4 miles long. It's unbelievable. Seems like it takes forever.
Paul Gentilozzi is sideways on the race course. And look at the rain. You can see it raining hard in that portion of the track. That's why he spun. They're on slicks. These cars are on slicks, and it's raining very hard in that portion of the track. Gentilozzi gets underway after losing several positions. Paul Gentilozzi running in 5th place, and you can see the rain from inside Paul Gentilozzi's car. He has a windshield wiper. He's off course again. Off into the gravel. It's very slick. It's pouring on all portions of the racetrack. Scott Sharp is off the track. Brassfield is off the course. There goes Chris Kneifel. Chevrolet is running 1 and 2. Here's a battle for 3rd place as they both get out of the gravel. 2 Oldsmobiles. Brassfield gets out ahead of Scott Sharp. It's raining all over this race course. There's Brassfield and Scott Sharp now battling for 3rd place. You saw Chris Kneifel get by. Tommy Kendall is leading. Chris Kneifel is in 2nd place. You're on board now with Paul Gentilozzi. It's raining at Elkhart Lake, and Tommy Kendall is still leading. We'll be back. We're back at Elkhart Lake. You can see it raining. We're looking for a red flag. It is raining very hard. Tommy Kendall is leading. We understand they're going to throw the red and the checkered flag. That's what they're talking about if that happens. Tommy Kendall is out in front. He will wrap up the championship for Chevrolet. You can see cars slipping and sliding all over the place here, Scott.
Tough situation. Rain card coming down real hard. Looks like they are going to do that.
The checkered flag is in the starter's hand when Tommy Kendall comes by. He should receive the checkered flag 5 laps early.
All Tommy has to do is just get around a track. It's a tough situation. He has to be real cautious.
Just a few corners remain. It looks like it's dry where he is. It is dry in portions of this track, but it's raining very hard in others. Tommy Kendall very cautious. All he has to do is finish this lap to win this race, which would be his 6th of the year. Now he's driving into the rain. You can see it raining in this portion of the track. This would clinch the championship for Chevrolet. Running 2nd right now is Chris Kneifel. So they've got 2 shots at the championship. If something would happen to Tommy Kendall, Chris Kneifel is running in 2nd place. Tommy Kendall running very cautiously through this course, trying to make his way around to the start-finish line. The checkered flag will be thrown. You talk about tiptoeing. He's taking it real easy.
Needs to be real careful, real cautious. No need to do anything right now except just be real careful and take the checkered flag.
His crew, no doubt, has alerted him via the radio that they will throw the checkered flag. They're just saying, just make it home, Tommy. Just come home. Here he comes toward the start-finish line. The checkered flag and the red flag wave simultaneously, giving the win to Tommy Kendall and the manufacturer's points championship to Chevrolet. Tommy Kendall waves in the rain, a very happy man. His 6th win, the 10th win for Chevrolet in the 25-year history of Trans Am racing. And what a year it has been for Chevrolet. Chris Kneifel finishes in 3rd place. Darin Brassfield ends up in 2nd place in a battle in the rain for 2nd.
Congratulations to Chevrolet, the whole Beretta team. You know, a lot of people don't realize how much work that goes into these cars, and all that comes from the team themselves. The ICI Beretta team, they really came together this year. They did a lot of hard work. They paid for early on, had a lot of bad luck, but it really came through in the end.
You talk about bad luck. Tough luck for this guy. Scott Sharp was leading the race, running very well, right on the tail of Tommy Kendall when the rains fell. He spun off course, or else we might have had a great battle to the finish between Scott Sharp and Tommy Kendall. But nevertheless, Tommy Kendall, already with the helmet off and the gloves off, waving to the corner workers, is the champion, and so is Chevrolet here at Elkhart Lake. A couple of cars stopped off the side of the track. Darin Brassfield and Scott Sharp. Tommy Kendall and Chevrolet are the winners at Elkhart Lake. The SCCA Trans Am Banquet Cup has been brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil. So Tommy Kendall is the winner here in the rain at Elkhart Lake, and Gary Gerald is with Tommy Kendall.
So Tommy Kendall comes down off the roof, a week ago at Mid-Ohio. He wrapped up the Drivers' Championship. Today at Elkhart Lake, he wraps up the Manufacturers' Championship. You come from the number 6 spot to do it, and it got a little dicey on more than one occasion. You and Scott Sharp had quite a battle.
Yeah, we really did. You know, it was a lot of fun. When you can race wheel to wheel with someone like Scott and not have to worry about one guy taking the other guy out, that's a heck of a lot of fun. And I'd have to take my hat off to Scott. He drove the wheels on that thing, but it's pretty obvious that this year, if you didn't have a red bow tie, you weren't dressed for the occasion. This was a really super year for the ICI Olivetti Beretta team. You know, we just couldn't be beat.
How much did you have to tiptoe and really be cautious when the rain started falling and results in an early ending to this race?
Well, fortunately, back in '87, I ran an IMSA race here. It's 4.5 hours worth of rain driving, so I know all the sticky spots on this course. And I saw the slippery surface flag out, and Scott and Darin took the bait on the outside and went sailing off. And from that point, we just had to kind of mind our P's and Q's and not get taken out in traffic.
Well, we congratulate you once again on a terrific season.
Thank you very much. This caps it off.
All right, let's go back to the booth. Brian? Woo!
Well, Tommy Kendall obviously very happy, and so is Chevrolet. Here again is Gary Gerald.
Well, once again, back down here in Victory Lane, Mark Kent represents Team Chevrolet, and this culminates a terrific season, obviously, when you get the Manufacturers' Championship just a week after Kendall gets the Drivers' Championship.
All right, it's absolutely fantastic. It's been a great year for Chevrolet. It's our 10th Manufacturers' Championship in a 25-year history of SCCA, and what better time to do it right here in Elkhart Lake. Everybody from Chevrolet has contributed greatly. Jim Derhaag, who's raced in more races than anybody's added points to the total. Tom Kendall, Chris Kneifel. It's been a great year for Chevrolet, and we have to thank SCCA for their fantastic series and everybody involved.
We congratulate you, and I think it's time to find shelter because it's turning ugly weather-wise.
Right. Thanks, Gary.
All right. Brian?
So congratulations to Chevrolet. The executives are partying in Detroit. They wrap up the Manufacturers' Points Championship over Oldsmobile. Ford is well behind, and they can now go to St. Pete and relax for the final race of the season. Here now a look at the individuals and how they finished today's race. Tommy Kendall, the winner for the 6th time this year, followed by Darin Brassfield here in the rain. Chris Kneifel ended up in 3rd place in a Chevrolet. Scott Sharp, who was running so well up front, finished in 4th place after going off course. And Ron Fellows, with a good run today, finished in the top 5. 6 through 10, Scott Lagasse, R.K. Smith, and the 3rd ICI Olivetti car finished in 7th. Max Jones in 8th place. Jim Derhaag with a top 10, and Paul Gentilozzi, who we saw spin in the rain in the late goings. Bob Sobey in 11th, Lynn St. James, Mike Kovacs. But as we look at the final results, Scott, what a year for Chevrolet.
What a great season. In fact, congratulations to Tommy Kendall, Chevrolet, and the whole ICI Beretta team. They worked real hard all day long, and in fact, all year long, and this is really their time to reap the fruits of all their hard labors.
So 14 races are down in the Trans Am Series. 1 remains in St. Petersburg, but the only thing left to be decided is 2nd place in the point standings.
It's going to be a tough battle there, but going into it, you know, Chevrolet is going to go down hard with all their Berettas. I mean, the pressure's off. They have a good opportunity to go down and just run hard.
All right, well, it's been an exciting day here at Elkhart Lake. For Scott Pruitt and Gary Gerald, I'm Brian Hammers. Good afternoon from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.